Well, welcome everybody. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Trevor Sperry, Spanish Fork City Emergency Management, and I'm currently serving as the Vice President of Region 3, which is represented here today. Thank you, Lisa, for joining us today from State VOAD. We'll give you time to talk as well. Thank you, Matt Stevens with the Red Cross today. He'll be reporting to us a little bit about the Red Cross and the current positions and the kind of where they stand currently with the Red Cross and learn more about what they do. As far as announcements, I have, I'm sure many of you have heard about Operation Slick Rock, which, Lisa, did you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Operation Slick Rock is a whole community resilience event made of a whole community coalition. It is being organized and planned by Team Rubicon. And the idea is, we've had a couple of meetings. The idea is that Team Rubicon has been down there before, and we had a fantastic exercise / mitigation plan for 2020, and literally days, a week before Operation Slick Rock was to happen, COVID canceled it. So right now they're in the planning phase. So it's March 10th through the 18th. It's in Moab. It's a mitigation project. Again, some trees. So Church of Scientology has soaring, if you can, that means chainsaw people, but that's the official terminology. So soaring from Scientologists, Southern Baptists also. The plan is for Salvation Army to do the cooking, and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints through Latter-day Saint Charities to donate some of the food. And the idea was for this to be VOAD centric. And then the Utah Emergency Managers Association, they usually have their conference in January, but they have scheduled their conference for March 16th and 17th to be there in Moab, so they can come have a little bit of conference in the morning and come look at the cut sites in the afternoon. Also, it's at the Spanish Arena, where hopefully Matt was on the meeting. Hopefully Red Cross will be setting up a shelter. Again, this is all in the planning phase. And unfortunately, due to health, Jeff McCulkey with Team Rubicon sent us an email last night that he's going to have to withdraw as leading this for Team Rubicon and Operation Slick Rock because of health reasons. So again, this is in the planning phase of Team Rubicon, but it is a whole community VOAD event.
Thank you very much. So is that open to all VOAD partners to come and participate? And
it is, and stand by for Tom Lohman from Team Rubicon will now be taking over that point over Jeff's position as planning. So we will let you all know as we find out. Tentatively, Joeva with some Scientologists and Don Dana and Captain Rob. There was a tentative group that was going down this Saturday to check out the sites down there. But with Jeff's email last night, Tom Lohman sent an email asking, wait and see on that. So we will give you details as we get that. But yes, it is open to all VOADs. We will also be reaching out to the local community, church congregations to see if they can have volunteers help as well. And there might be some opportunities for trainings as well. So again, keep your ears peeled for more planning on that.
thank you very much. Carrie or anybody else have any announcements at this point?
We do have the Be Ready Utah. I don't even know what it's called. The Expo. Yes, thank you. In February, I think it was the 25th and 26th.
Yeah, Friday, Saturday.
February, and all VOAD partners will be welcome at that as well. And we can send out some more information in our newsletter.
Great. And again, because we're meeting this month, we won't meet in February, but we'll meet in March. And I believe our meeting is actually scheduled for down in Slick Rock.
Yes, that's what we had decided, since Region 3 will meet every other month. And so we will plan to have a short breakout session with Region 3 at Operation Slick Rock. And hopefully maybe we can even do a Zoom meeting from there as well, for those of you who don't attend.
Great. Yeah. Well, Bill?
Yeah, I just wanted to make an input. I noticed that Joeva's not on this particular call, but the Church of Scientology hosted the state meeting last week. And A, they have a beautiful facility, and B, they did a first-class job. And I just wanted to express appreciation to Joeva and those folks at that VOAD for doing such a great job for us. Encourage you all to go and see the facility if you get a chance.
And
I
that's
agree.
one thing I think that we maybe haven't expressed, is that all of you as Region 3 partners are welcome to join us for those state meetings. They're every month. And so far we've had them at the Church of Scientology, which is on South Temple in Salt Lake City. And we can send you that invite if you have not yet been receiving it individually.
Great. Yes, they've been very kind and generous in hosting us a number of times. If there's no other announcements, I'd like to introduce Matt Stevens. I'm not sure when you took this position. It's been a few months now, right, Matt?
Yes, sir. I officially took the position about 3 weeks ago, but I held it in an interim capacity for about 3 months.
Great. And you were in the Dallas area and
Yes, sir.
recently moved up to Utah and joined us here in you're in Midvale, correct?
I am. I got the mountains in the background as we speak. A little bit of an inversion today, so I'm not seeing too much, but I absolutely love it here. It's gorgeous, and it is a pleasure to be in the state of Utah working with you guys. And thank you for the opportunity to present today. Which brings me to my next point of how do I share my screen? Because I do not see a share screen thing on this.
There should be
I like-
some at the bottom.
I like the bottom of your
enabled
screen,
you.
it'll pop up.
It's green
There
on the
should
bottom.
be something that I did allow you to share.
Okay.
Yeah, drag your
all
cursor to
right.
the bottom.
Thank you so much. All right, it's all smooth sailing from here. If you guys can see this. Let's see here. There we go. Do you guys see Region 3 VOAD?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Whew, got to the hard part. So yeah, thank you. It's an absolute pleasure. I feel like I'm at home when I sit in with the VOAD team. A little bit about me. I've been working with Red Cross for close to 7 years now. I'm a returned Peace Corps volunteer in Mali, West Africa. I have a master's in business administration. Right out of grad school, I went for the money and worked with JP Morgan Chase. And although I loved it, it really wasn't where my heart was. And so about 8 years ago, I had this epiphany that, hey, you know, I really want to help people when needed most. And you know, what's the organization that first came to mind for me? It was Red Cross. And I went all out and I applied to a ton of different positions and I got accepted in all places in North Texas on the Oklahoma border. And I was actually scared to move to Texas before I lived there. I'm born and raised in Memphis, Tennessee, and had not heard the best things about Texas. And it was a great experience for me, disaster-wise. Got to learn a lot, got to see a lot. Eventually got promoted to a senior program manager in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, and got to, you know, be involved with disaster relief operations from, you know, plane crashes to wildfires to shootings to just a lot of different experiences. Never had earthquakes. So already in my brief time period here, I've gotten to sit in on a FEMA conference and learn about earthquakes. And I can't wait to learn more from you guys about everybody's response and how we'll best work together. But bottom line, in all of those operations, it was working with nonprofit organizations, you know, throughout the whole entire community working together that made them successful. And so I'm excited about building and strengthening those relationships with you. So let's see. Oh, and very important, there's my contact information. So we're going to give the contact info out a couple of times during this pitch, but there it is. So we're going to do kind of a Red Cross 101 here, and bear with me for a minute. Maybe you already know this, but this is our mission statement. I always like to start off with this when I'm giving a presentation, but what's the mission of the American Red Cross? We prevent and alleviate human suffering in the face of emergencies by mobilizing the power of volunteers and the generosity of donors. I highlighted and read the important keywords there. So for me, it's volunteers. We are, 90% plus of the people that actually do the response for us are volunteers. They're not paid staff. And when I started off on this journey with Red Cross, I kind of put myself in the position of a volunteer. I wanted those hands-on experiences of helping clients, and seeing the joys of helping them at their worst. And now for me, it's not like that at all. It's how do I empower other people? How do I get volunteers? How do I pull in somebody that's retired after 20 years of IT and never really dealt with people, so that they can go out there and be a superhero and collaborate with other organizations in the community and provide support. So that's our mission statement. We're kind of like a giant grocery store, right? And there are all these different departments in the grocery store. So some of those departments, we've got health and safety services. That's where you can learn how to be a lifeguard. You can learn how to be a babysitter. You can learn how to save a life on a dummy. And by the way, we've updated our dummies. We've got these new modern dummies that light up. The technology is really cool there. And due to COVID, we'll actually send the dummies to you and do the CPR first aid virtually, so that we're all safe practicing with COVID. Biomedical, this is a huge department for us in Utah. How huge? I'm told that the Murray office, which is our Salt Lake office, is actually the biggest donor location in the US. It's just a 24/7 cog of people coming in and out and donating blood. It's really impressive. That said, I am obligated to say that we're running low on blood right now. We're having the biggest blood shortage that we've had ever due to COVID-19. So if you or your family get a chance to donate, please do. Please do go to redcross.org and find out your nearest donation center. International services, this one hits home this week because of the situation in Tonga. Mainly what we do is we connect loved ones in the United States with loved ones that are overseas, that maybe there's been a big disaster, or maybe there's been war. And if somebody's concerned, hey, so-and-so, is my cousin okay? Can you check on it? They can come into a Red Cross office, and we will do all that we can to either work with that country's government and their Red Cross locally to try to identify if that person's safe. Services to armed forces, this is a huge department. We do a lot, but I think the primary thing is when you join the military, there's military entrance processing stations, MEPS. And basically you come in, you sit down, you sign up, and you get shipped off wherever. And so in that process, we try to have Red Cross representation so that we can connect with your family members that are going to stay here statewide while you get deployed. And where does that come in handy? Let's say that you have a wife or a husband that is sick here at home, and you're on a Navy battleship in some undisclosed location. You locally can reach out to your Red Cross, and Red Cross will reach out to the commander, whoever's in charge on that ship, and say, hey, we got an issue here. Loved one's not doing so well. Can we get whoever's stationed on the ship sent home for a little bit to be with them? So Red Cross, we're that communication piece. And then lastly, my favorite department, disaster services. So let's deep dive into disaster services for a bit. And I'll start off showing this in-depth slide here. I won't go into too much detail, but the keywords: prepare, respond, recover. That is what we do in a nutshell. Now, where do we do it? I wanted to show you guys a map of divisions throughout the country for Red Cross, mainly because it's just so unfair. Our division is in yellow, and it's called SWARM, stands for Southwest and Rocky Mountain. And it is pretty much the most active division in the country. Why? You know, you've got Texas, you've got Louisiana, Arkansas, Missouri. But it seems like every location, there's something major that could go on at any point. So we're really big on, you know, deploying. We send people out all the time. What's not in our division is Kentucky. And I want to say over the Christmas holidays, we had 30 Red Cross volunteers that were shipped out from our region, which I'm going to show you in a minute, that were there to support operations there. And we're kind of the dueling banjos with the Pacific Division. So the California coast, they would come in a close second as far as the most active divisions in the country. But this is our region, and this is where this is pretty much my coverage area. So we're called the UN, whoop whoop, that's Utah, Nevada region. And you can see here it's color coded. What you're looking at are different chapters. So in the state of Nevada, we've got a northern chapter, a southern chapter. Those are pretty active. So the Reno chapter is pretty active. I'm going to show you some fire responses in a minute. Las Vegas, of course, very active. They're probably our most active chapter when it comes to fire response. And then in Utah, we actually have 3 chapters. The northern Utah, central and southern, which falls under region 3 of VOAD. And then we have GSLAC, Greater Salt Lake Area chapter. So I'll tell you what, I think that we have some Red Crossers on this call right now. And I'm wondering if maybe Jim Erickson and Sarah Pace, if you guys are on, if y'all could give a wave or maybe an introduction of who you are and what you do. They're going to be so mad at me because I didn't really plan this.
Hey, Matt.
Hey.
I'm here. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Thanks, Matt, for the last second introduction. Just kidding. It's fine. I'm Sarah Pace, disaster program specialist for the Southern Utah Territory, which is part of the Central Southern Utah chapter. I've been working a little bit with a few of you I see in Central Utah, Trevor and Mike. It's good to see you too. But yeah, it's been really good getting to know you all. I look forward to working with you more. And yeah, I'll turn it over to Jim.
Awesome. And by the way, so coverage area, it's kind of like you're sandwiched in between these two because Sarah's the most southern part. And I think that's mostly like region 4, but it might overlap with a couple of counties in region 3.
Quick
All right,
question.
well, good afternoon.
Quick question. Do you have the any of the Native American tribes in that little piece that hangs into Arizona?
That's a
I
great
do,
question.
yeah. Mojave County in particular. We also have a couple tribes in the St. George, Cedar City area and in Lincoln County, Nevada as well. That's part of my coverage area as well.
All right, well, good afternoon. I'll try to do this in 60 seconds or less here. So it's great to meet you all. I did meet Lisa at the Wasatch exercise. I think that's about all I've met. I've met Bill Tolbert on a couple virtual things. But it's great to meet you all. I'm the Senior Disaster Program Manager for the Utah-Nevada region and temporarily filling the Disaster Program Manager for the Salt Lake area. Which we call GSLAC, which took me about a month to figure out what that meant, but that's Greater Salt Lake Area chapter. I've been with the Red Cross for about 4 months following my retirement from the military, where I served 8 years in the Air Force and the last 22 years in the Coast Guard. I've been involved in emergency preparedness and disaster response the past 17 years or so, beginning with my very first deployment to Hurricane Katrina and followed with some other deployments to several hurricanes, including Sandy, Harvey, Florence, and then there was a whole bunch of them in 2020, mainly just filling ICS roles, operation and logistics. So I've always enjoyed disaster emergency response, the challenges that go along with it, and the opportunity to work with some of the best people, I think, in the country. You can really see the lines of sociodemographics and race and ethnicities just fall apart in these disasters. And I think that's where you see humans at their best, and that's what I've always enjoyed about it. I've worked with the Red Cross volunteers during 2017 Harvey, and I was really impressed with their compassion, dedication, and their attitude. So following my retirement, I had the idea of not working anymore. And then after 5 months, that attitude quickly disappeared with a lot of threats of encouragement from my wife. So having been so impressed with the people of the Red Cross, I could see no better opportunity. And so here I am. And thanks for the invitation. I look forward to meeting and working with you all. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks for the intros, guys. I appreciate that. So you have Sarah in St. George. And actually, you know what? I'm going to go back here. So in this whole pink shaded area, you've got one chapter, but there are 2 office locations. Confusing. One of those office locations is in Springville, and that program manager is not currently hired. So we're in the process of finding a program manager for there. And then in Southern Utah, which is St. George office, we have Sarah. So let's talk about the position that we are hiring for. What I did right here, and I guess we can share this slide with everybody after the presentation, but you've got 2 links here. So we are currently in search for a Central and Southern disaster program manager, and then a Salt Lake City disaster program manager as well. You know, it's interesting. I got a call from Trevor probably 2 months ago, 3 months ago, that was like, who's our person? Who's our Red Cross representative? And I just want to thank everybody for bearing with us. I know there's, you know, because of COVID, a lot of organizations have kind of suffered from a change in personnel, and we definitely are going through that. We're almost fully staffed though. So we've got pretty much, we're down to these last 2 positions. And I can't stress enough the folks that we have brought on. I'm just feeling really confident about everybody. Their heart is in this mission, and they come with really good experience. So if you do know somebody, or maybe you're interested yourself in working for the Red Cross, these links will take you directly there. And hopefully we get a Central and Southern Utah DPM shortly for this area. So let's see. So what would it mean if you were the DPM? A lot of fire responses. I like to say this is the bread and butter for Red Cross. You know, we pride ourselves on being an organization where when the fire department, they're the real heroes. They're coming in, they're saving lives, they're putting out the fire. But when they're pulling away, we like to have a Red Cross representative on scene to give out immediate financial assistance, you know, to put you up in a hotel, to help pay for those immediate needed items, you know, food, clothing, shelter.
Hey, Matt,
yes.
Lisa has a question for you.
Oh, please go ahead.
Yeah. You're on mute, Lisa.
Thank you. It was just as you were leaving the prior slide where you had the links up. So you say Central and Southern Utah. So once you get that DPM hired there, Sarah is, so you were saying you had 2 offices. And so I'm just trying to wrap my head around where Sarah is as opposed to this person that will be hired as the Central.
Yeah, great question. So Sarah, what are your counties, ma'am?
My counties are Beaver, Iron, Washington, Kane, Garfield, and then Mojave County there in the like Utah, Arizona border area, and then Lincoln County, Nevada.
Okay,
So
thank you. So
I'm mostly Southern. Yeah.
So it's it really, when you're looking at the Department of Emergency Management map, where Utah is cut into 7 regions, your area is kind of that, what you would call region 4. If you were looking at the DEM map, does that sound right, Matt?
I believe that's right. I haven't looked at the Division of Emergency Management's website, but I did take a look at the VOAD site earlier, and if it's the similar regions.
And we tried to mirror that, at least with 1, 2, 3. You know, originally it was Central Utah, you know, and 4 that Southwest region, and then Yes, and 3 has kind of become a little bit bigger than what we had originally envisioned. And then when you're talking about that second lake, the Salt Lake DPM,
Mhm.
so Jim Erickson is filling in for that GSLAC.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh,
And
okay.
if you look at this, it's everything that's in orange is
Okay.
the GSLAC coverage area. This pink coverage area is the one that's a little bit of an odd duck because it has 2 offices and 2 people that
Gotcha.
man this, and it's because the coverage area is just huge. It's
Gotcha.
just
And
massive.
so when you hire that GSLAC, where is Jim fitting in? I just want to keep that.
So Jim, so when we hire the GSLAC, the chain of command will be that you have a local program manager, okay, and that their supervisor is going to be Jim Erickson, the senior disaster program manager. So he's going to technically supervise all program managers at the 5 separate chapters.
These
Tracking.
ones that we're all looking at here.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. That's
Thank
correct.
you.
Yep.
Thank you for that clarification.
Yeah, no, definitely. And one of the many things that we've got a list a mile long of different things to do, but we're going to get you guys an updated list with pictures. So you'll see your representative, but they're also going to have phone numbers, and then we're going to have a backup and a backup to them. So it'll be 3 people deep of who you can contact from Red Cross at any time. Is there another question? Sorry, I see that there's a 1 on the chat, but
Yeah, I posted the regional map from the website in the chat.
okay. Awesome. Thank you. So, so I'll go forward with house fire responses. How big of a thing is this? You can see last year, or actually our target for this year, 60,761 events is what we're shooting for nationally. It's a little bit different locally, but nonetheless, it's just to show that this is a 24/7 thing that never stops with Red Cross. So locally, where are we at? Our fiscal year starts July 1st and ends June 31st of 2022. So since July 1st of 2021, in the Utah, Nevada region, we've had 264 events. That actually equates to 444 cases. Why the discrepancy? Many of those events have been multiple family fire. So like a big apartment building catches fire, that's listed as one event. However, we might open up 12 cases for 12 different families. But the number that I'm most proud of there is the number of individuals assisted. So what is that? 7 months have passed and we're at 1,177 people have received some type of financial assistance from Red Cross due to a house or an apartment fire. So what do you do if you're affected? You call 1-800-RED Cross. It's as easy as that. It's open 24/7. It's like this for a small single family fire, or maybe even a smaller apartment fire. Really, we want the persons affected to call 1-800-RED Cross. They have up until 2 weeks from the date of the incident to receive financial assistance. Because of COVID, we have pivoted our service delivery model to where we can do virtual support, and that's really cool. I mean, it's a breeze. We can give money through PayPal. We can send it to Walmart, and you can go pick it up there. We prefer to do in person, and we try to do that. And usually when we do that, we deliver a prepaid debit card. But the virtual option is there. And I say this because there might be sometimes, in a COVID environment where you're going, where in the world is Red Cross? What are they doing? The thing is, we're working behind the scenes with the fire department and with the persons affected to try to get them money. And we might not necessarily be on scene. I suspect that when COVID slows down, you're going to see this hybrid form of Red Cross service delivery that's both in person and virtual. Virtual mostly for those real remote cases where we might not have a strong volunteer base and we want to get somebody money in their pockets immediately. First responders can call this number. So I show this slide second because we don't want first responders necessarily calling up the 1-800-RED Cross line. This is kind of a more expedited thing. It goes straight to a representative. It's solely for first responders. feel free to share this accordingly. And then in small print at the bottom of this, it says 1-800 Red Cross. Now, if there's ever a concern and you're going, oh my gosh, this is a major incident and Red Cross is not here and we have concern about this, then definitely feel free to reach out to your program managers or to myself. It's just, we really want to get out of the habit of calling those numbers first. We want them to call 1-800 Red Cross. And the reason is, Jim or myself or Sarah might not be on call at that time period. And when they call 1-800 Red Cross and deal with one of our national dispatchers, they instantly connect them with the people that are on call. So it just makes things flow a lot smoother.
Looks like Bill has a question.
Oh, yes, sir. Go ahead.
Just wanted to make an input in addition to the home fire response. I know that the Red Cross has responded when when we had the windstorms 2 months ago or whatever, and people's power was knocked out and their fuse boxes were overloaded and all the rest of that. Red Cross responds. Again, it's cash cards or temporary sheltering assistance, and they did that for the COVID impact at all the food handling plants here in the valley as well. So they do so much more in that one-on-one than just home fires. That's the first point. Second point is that we saw a little bit about blood drives, but what I remind people, especially in our church leaders, there's a lot of different folks around the country that are doing blood collections. ARUP, I think, is one of the bigger ones that we have, University of Utah here in Utah. But the difference between the Red Cross and the other people that do blood drives is when there's that house fire, you never see ARUP or other blood drive groups coming in providing that one-on-one assistance. And when we need them, when there's a major event of any kind, the ones that show up and do the mass sheltering and everything are the Red Cross. So there's a distinguishing factor for the Red Cross in that they do not only the big things, but they do the one-on-one kinds of things. And oh, by the way, blood drives is one of the things that they do to help save lives in Utah as well. And yeah, I don't know if it's correct, but virtually all of the blood I know in Cache Valley that is used here in Cache County comes from blood drives by the Red Cross. And I think you're the top provider for 47 out of 49 hospitals in your region. The last time I saw any statistics. So they do a yeoman job in that area, but it's always remembering the individual family on the curb that distinguishes them.
Gary?
Thanks.
Yes, I had a question for you, Matt, with these two different phone numbers. So we have a variety of people on the call today. So we have VOAD partners. We also have some emergency managers, and then we have some that are just general public, maybe representing their organization. Which of these phone numbers would you like us to make sure that they're calling the right one?
Yeah, great
Yes,
question.
versus a VOAD partner versus an emergency manager, which of your phone numbers, as well as then your personal number, which you already gave out.
Yeah. Thanks for asking. Great question. So it's like this. If you know somebody that has been affected and needs Red Cross assistance, they should call 1-800 Red Cross. If you are a fire chief that's on scene for a big, multi-family fire and you want to give us a heads up that, hey, there's going to be some Red Cross needed, then you would call that other number with the, let's see if I can find it. Yeah, you would call this number 833-583-3111. Okay. Now the actual employees, the paid staff of myself and Jim and Sarah, you're more than welcome to give us a call anytime there's a big event. And you just want to make sure situational awareness or whatever, that, hey, it's on our radar. If you have questions or need help with anything, feel free to call that number. What I usually tell emergency managers is, some kind of big event and you want to make sure that Red Cross is there expeditiously and all is going well, feel free to reach out to your local program manager. I hope that clarifies.
Yes, it does. And I just wanted to also, we had Tammy ask if we can get a copy of these slides that we can send out in our newsletter. So Matt, I think you have my email, and if you're willing to do that, please send that to me.
Yeah, certainly. I'd ask, after this, if Trevor, if you don't mind doing a reply all to share it with everybody, I'll just share the document with everybody.
Great.
All right. Is there another question?
I actually have a question, but I don't know if you can hear me.
I can.
Great. I
Okay.
haven't used this laptop for Zoom before. I wondered, in the same vein of who do we call? I'm an emergency manager here in the county, and I wondered if we have, say, an exercise that we would like to invite the Red Cross to participate in. Who do we call for that?
Great question. Call the local program manager. And unfortunately for you guys, we don't have one right now. So call Jim Erickson or myself. And I'll provide everybody with his number and Sarah's number too. So great question. And we would love to be involved. So thanks for thinking of us. All right. Is there one more?
Matt, Ken Crowdy calling.
Hey, Ken.
Hey, just want to thank you and the Red Cross for participating with us on our Be Ready Utah Expo. Jalea has been attending the meetings. We've been sending the invites to you as well, just to keep you posted, but just want to say thank you, thank you. We sure appreciate your support. You're a great partner.
Hey, we appreciate it. Thank you, sir. We like being included. Looking forward to that. All right, so.
Hey, Matt.
Yes,
I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, ma'am.
My name is Anna Boynton, and I'm the tribal liaison for Utah Emergency Management. I receive questions quite often from tribal councils and tribal emergency managers regarding who their up-to-date contacts should be. Should I go ahead and follow as you advise in this slide? Do they get basically the same instruction that we're receiving? I want to be sure I, share correct information.
Yeah, please do. And I'm really hoping that maybe after this call, we can connect and talk more about those relationships.
Okay.
I appreciate you speaking out. Feel free to share our contact with anybody, anybody that it might be relevant to share with. So looking forward to that. And we'll have the contact info at the very end. So.
Perfect. Thank you, Matt.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. So I'm talking kind of slow here, so I'm going to kind of push through. And I think that most of you guys are probably aware of these different things that we offer, but just to stress again, there is a virtual option now for casework. We still are we value ourselves on being an in-person organization. We miss hugging people. We love people and we want to be there to help. Our volunteer base really wants to get back to that, but we're not fully there because of COVID. So if you do see us in person, we'll be masked up. We will be social distancing. Otherwise, we're going to be doing this virtual approach. Of course, we open shelters if needed. We can help with reunification, with feeding, with distribution of emergency supplies, health services. We have a team of nurses that are on standby at any point. That's really helpful after a house or an apartment fire, or like what was mentioned earlier, and I'm so glad that this was brought up. It's not just house and apartment fires. It's, flooding is a big one that happens. It's wildfires. It could be earthquakes. It's who knows what that next disaster would be. So we have nurses that will call in and get your prescription medicine set up, immediately. Will help with if you lost a wheelchair or some type of breathing device, and so on. We have mental health services, people that are on standby to help at any point. And that's a big one, especially for these fatality fires and somebody lost a puppy dog. It's always a good idea to have check in with a mental health expert. And then of course the financial assistance piece. With the sheltering, I just briefly wanted to say that, because of COVID, our requirements are a little bit different as far as how we have people spaced out. So we used to push for 60 square feet per person. Now we're up to 120. So whatever shelter capacity might have been in your area before at a prior location, you're probably going to want to cut that in half now with COVID, if that, and maybe even add a little bit more space per cot. We really want to social distance so that there's no breakout in the shelter. And also, sometimes we do provide non-congregate sheltering. So due to COVID-19. So, there's a possibility that we would work with a government partner, another partner agency, and put people up in hotels if that's what was really needed at the time, because there was a hotbed of COVID activity in the area. So I pulled this slide up last night. It's pretty cool how Red Cross is starting to bundle all this data, like at a live tracking moment where, so last night at like 10 o'clock at night, we had 427 people staying in 9 Red Cross shelters throughout the US. I show that because we deploy people all the time. So if we're ever like short staffed, you know, it might be a problem of we need to build capacity in that area, but it could also be that we've got people deployed to, evidently there's a shelter like close to Miami, and I have no idea why that's open right now, but it is.
Hey,
We
Matt,
still, yes, go ahead.
is that information open to the public, or is it just employees that have that portal?
Great question. So you know, like I was saying earlier, volunteers are pretty much employees with Red Cross. Like everybody has the same amount of clout. And so this would be open to a volunteer or to a staff member, as long as they're a member of Red Cross and they've taken the required training to go in and do GIS mapping. So if that's something you might be interested in, I'll show you at the very end of this how to apply for Red Cross. You can totally be a CERT volunteer and a Red Cross volunteer, and everything else. So definitely not trying to pull anybody away from your organizations, but this is kind of a benefit as you get access to these kind of things, and as well to like a plethora of training that's pretty cool and online. Was there another question? Nope. Okay. So another thing that we have, and this is kind of becoming obsolete because of Facebook and social media, but you know, when we do open up a shelter for a mass evacuation event, we do have a safe and well linking website where you can let your loved ones know, hey, I'm safe, I'm here, everything's okay. This could be very helpful if communications were down in an area, because Red Cross does have like a comms team that can come in and set up special satellite equipment and whatnot, and hopefully communicate out if needed. The reunification phase, I just put on here community partnerships. This is the most important thing ever. I mean, it is so important. And this is one of the reasons, I didn't say this earlier, but I came to Utah. I love this place. It's so beautiful. I mean, it's absolutely gorgeous, but the people here are resilient, and the organizations, you know, the LDS Church, Salvation Army, Team Rubicon, and there's so many other organizations that do great things. And I'm excited to work with you guys, so I can't wait. But I think that's the most important piece with the recovery phase. Why? Red Cross, you know, we have a specific niche. We help people 30 days, you know, up to 30 days after the incident, and then we don't do long-term recovery. So one of the things that we do offer, and we just started offering like 2 years ago, is shelter resident transition teams. That's really helpful because when you close down a shelter, instead of just saying, good luck, you're on your own, we have a team of social work experts that come in and try to help you transition out to make that transition as smooth as possible. And 99% of the time, that's done with partnering with other organizations, especially the ones that help with long-term recovery. We offer spiritual care, and then additional supplementals, additional client assistance. So like there's that first round of financial assistance, but say you need more because you can't, you know, now all of a sudden you got to move somewhere new and you need to help pay for the moving truck, or you've got additional hospital bills and so on. There are all these other little niches that if you meet the requirements, we can actually provide a little more financial assistance. I am really going over here, but I'll be brief on this one. When we're not responding, we're trying to prepare the community, and these are the big 3 initiatives that we're doing right now. So the first one's Pillowcase and Pedro, Prepare with Pedro. They tie into each other. Basically, it's a way to go in and teach youth 1st grade through 5th grade in a non-threatening way how to prepare for the next disaster, whatever prevalent disaster could be in your community. We love partnering with other nonprofit organizations with this. We love partnering with government, emergency management, fire department personnel. If you guys or any of your organizations might be interested in trying to join in on this, we teach you a non-threatening way to get to the kids with the hopes that they go home and they teach mom and dad these new preparedness things. And it's kind of this covert mission to make the whole community more prepared. And then last but not least, the home fire prevention campaign. So we install free smoke detectors. We've really taken a hiatus on this one because of COVID. It's like, talk about the wrong time to go into somebody's house and install. with the global pandemic going on, but we just started ramping back up this program January 1st. And we would love to come into your communities and install free 10-year lithium ion batteries. The battery does not need to be changed, completely free of charge. While we're inside the home, we go over a home fire escape plan. Stay low and go, get out in 2 minutes or less, have a meeting point, those kind of things. Get out and stay out. Don't go back in the house. And I'd be remiss if I didn't end this with get a kit to stay safe. Oh, what does this say? Have a plan. I can't even see at the top there. And then I can't even see what it says. So prepare. How about that? And I would highly encourage anybody that does not have the Red Cross app. There's a great emergency alert notification app that you can download. I found that my family and I were driving through Oklahoma a couple of years ago, and it went off. The alert did on my phone. It's really cool because it'll follow you all over the United States and warn you whenever the latest and greatest threat is in that area. You can also go through it, and if you have like, what do I do? There's been a chemical emergency at the house. You can click on it, and it'll take you step by step through all these different crazy disaster scenarios. And then if you're like really a gunner with it, you can take quizzes and learn quite a bit. So I'll conclude my pitch with saying redcross.org is where you go to apply to be a volunteer. Anybody can do that. Love for you to join. And if you have questions, feel free to reach out to me, to Jim, or to Sarah at the numbers and emails provided. That's all I have.
Thank you very much, Matt. Excellent presentation. Great to get to know you better as well, and Sarah and Jim. Kelly had a question about if you're offering any in-person classes, specifically psychological first aid.
Oh, great question. So in person, no, and we really haven't done so since the start of the pandemic, but we definitely offer it online. I believe with that class, there's actually like a thing that is not instructor led that you can take that takes about an hour, but I'll tell you, with a class like that, I think it's 10 times better if it's instructor led. So we have that virtually. It's through Microsoft Teams, through our online learning portal called The Edge. And when you become a volunteer, you can sign up to take that or any other class.
Great. Speaking on volunteers, a couple of weeks ago, there was a campaign to get more volunteers for the disaster action team. I worked a little bit with Sarah on that. Any update? Were we able to get a few volunteers here and there for Utah County particularly? Yeah, great question. So we did an all-out rush and tried to get as many people as possible to sign up, and we do have quite a bit of newer people that have recently signed up. That said, they don't have that much experience, and we're lacking a real leader right now in Central Utah. So just to be blunt with you, we need to get that position filled, and we are prioritizing that. The other thing that we're running into is our new folks. They have a little bit of experience virtual, so they've opened up cases virtually, but they've never done the in-person thing. And there are all kinds of changes, and we have to get them licensed to drive Red Cross vehicles. It's just a different approach. So we will be present, or the eye in the sky virtually for every fire that we are asked to support in your area. I just ask that you give a little bit of grace until we fully build that team together. It's going to take some time, and then you're going to see more of Red Cross on the ground. Great. Thank you.
And just to talk to that a little bit, I think Trevor was maybe talking about he and I and Michael Sawyer had been working on getting a team. Well, we kind of not getting together a team. We kind of sent out this hey, help us out in this area, specifically Utah County, as far as a DAT team. And we're still working on that, if that's the question, Trevor. I haven't heard from Volunteer Connection as far as having anybody in my queue who have specifically signed up for the DAT team in Utah County, but I'll follow up on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Bill?
Yeah, I just want to put a plug in here for Matt. He did make a very long move in freeze your butt off weather into a terrible market for housing. And I'm so glad you're here and you found something and you didn't go up and go back to Dallas. I just wanted to tell you that because I know it was a tough transition.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. And by the way, my partner and her son did drive off the road in Moab in a U-Haul trailer going 2 miles an hour and had to get pulled out by AAA. But we're us Texans, or if that's what you want to call me, we're learning how to drive in this weather and can't wait to learn more. And Moab was beautiful, by the way.
Matt, can you stop sharing your screen so we can see everybody's face, and then we'll be able to know if anyone else has more questions?
I'm really worried that I can't. Let's see. I don't know how to do it. I'm sorry. But I'll log out.
Maybe just exit out of your thing and it will come back.
There's a spot up at the top, Matt, that should say stop share.
Probably in green.
Yeah, roll your cursor up towards the top. Your mouse.
Yeah.
I think it's usually in red.
Oh,
Did that do it? Stop share. There we go.
perfect. Now we're all back on. Thank you, Matt. That was a really great presentation, and we'll be sending this recording out as well as with your slides and some of the other information that you gave us to all of our partners who may not have been on the call today. Were there any other questions that weren't asked? Bill, you still have your hand raised. Do you have another question? Nope, you're muted.
I'm down. Thank you.
All right. Did anyone else have any questions for Matt or Trevor? Do we want to do a roundtable? We have a couple of minutes that we could see if anyone has anything that they want to share.
Sure. Thank you again, Matt, for your time. Really appreciate it and glad to have you here on board with us. Does anyone have anything to share, any updates from their organization or any assistance that they've rendered recently? Linda?
I represent Southern Baptist Disaster Relief, and we are having our national roundtable next week where our leaders are getting some more training. And then also we'll be participating in Be Ready Utah at the expo with a couple of our trailers up there on display to see how they work. And we are looking at helping with the mock mass evacuation from, they'll be flying in from Alaska because the hospitals are shut down there, and they'll be helping transport 2 different hospitals here in Utah. So we'll be there to kind of hand out drinks and things like that. And I'm not sure the date on that. And we're planning on going down and helping with Operation Slick. Just as an update.
Awesome. It'll be great to see you guys down there. Anybody else?
Trevor, we are going to be doing another evacuation reunification drill with one of our larger schools here in London. And part of the reason I asked Matt if he would like to be involved is because we'd like to know if you'd like to be involved in that. So that's on April 13th. And so if you'll maybe just check your calendar and we can talk a little bit after the meeting about whether or not that's something you'd like to participate with, we'd appreciate it.
And is that just a school evacuation, Kelly?
It is. This is something that is kind of new to Linden, and I think new to a lot of jurisdictions. There aren't too many schools. There's people who plan for things, but then don't actually do a functional exercise to see if they can carry that out. So this will be our second one. It's the first one that's going to actually involve students. And it's one of those devil is in the details sort of situations. And so we want to make sure that we are crossing our T's and dotting our I's and getting all the players on board who might actually show up in a real event.
Awesome. Ken, you shared info on the Be Ready Utah Expo.
Yeah, check on that link and you can find out all information about the Be Ready Utah Expo, February the 25th and 26th. Looking forward to seeing you.
Thank you.
Ken, non-VOAD question, but were you ever in radio? You just have a great radio voice. I could just listen to you as announcing sports or something. It's just great.
I had a radio show, KATL, Cattle Radio in Miles City, Montana, the cow country capital of the world.
No wonder it's so great.
Thank
That's
you.
awesome. You learn something new every day. Bill, did you have a question or a comment?
No, that was just the applause hands up there for the radio star.
Okay. Let's see. I don't see Lisa on anymore. Is she? Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, there you are. Lisa, did you have anything else?
I do not have anything else. Just a big thank you to Trevor for holding down the fort in Region 3 as Vice President and Carrie as Secretary. Much appreciated, and much appreciated that we have Region 3 participating. Again, it takes a team, so we appreciate everyone that's on here, and we appreciate our community partners as well that we invite, and that we can all just be doing the most good for the most people. I deployed actually with Red Cross, Matt, in 2017 to Hurricane Irma, so I'm going to have to check to see if my volunteer status has like lapsed, to see if I can access that GIS information, because that is valuable information. But just again, a big thank you, and appreciate your time, because I know your time is valuable to all of you. And thanks, Matt, for the presentation.
And I wanted to ask Matt and Sarah and Jim if they would like to continue to receive our Region 3 newsletters and invitations to join us if you have the time. But would you like us to add you to the email list?
Please.
All right.
Yeah, we appreciate it. And Kelly, I heard your request. I'll reach out after this.
All right. Well, if nothing else, thank you, everybody. We'll see most of you at Slick Rock, hopefully.
Yes, and if any of you have announcements or anything you would like to put in the newsletter, please send it to me, because this last time I really didn't have much. I thought of you, Ken, afterwards, but if you have something that you would like put in the newsletter, please send it to me and I will be glad to add it.
Will do.
Thank you. And
Thanks
thanks
again,
all
Matt.
everybody for coming today.
A quick note, just so you all know, on our utahvoad.org, on our website, our state website, Wayne Robbins was able to add the Be Ready Utah link on that last page under toolbox. So if you click there, there's a whole bunch of community resources. Be Ready Utah is one of them that we were able to add onto our website.
Great.
All right. Well, thank you again for joining us, everyone. And on our last newsletter, I put both Trevor and my contact information. If you have anything to send out or to call us about, feel free to reach out. We're always available. Thanks, and have a great day.
See you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having.
Great meeting. Thank you.